Welcome to the Turing test. Today's dive is into groundbreaking AI hardware, from wafer-scale chips to neuromorphic breakthroughs, and even open-source RISC V accelerators.
I love this space. So, starting off, can wafer-scale chips really replace racks of GPUs for giant language models?
Oh, absolutely. Cerebras, for instance, rolled out their CS3 system on March 13, 2024. Imagine a dinner plate-sized wafer packing 4 trillion transistors and 900,000 AI-optimized cores. It's designed to train a 70 billion parameter model in just one day, according to their own press release.
Wow, that's insane. So the scale is literally wafer-sized, and the memory attached?
Right. The killer stat there is memory. Up to 1.2 petabytes in one go, which lets you, get this, run a 24 trillion parameter model without the usual need to slice it up into fragments. No more code gymnastics like we do on traditional GPU setups.
That's a game changer, but isn't it also super expensive to produce a full 5 nanometer wafer every time?
Exactly. Wafer-scale chips aren't cheap. Yields have to be near perfect. And the power and cooling requirements are brutal. Even though Cerebras claims they manage within the same envelope as their previous gene, it's still a steep investment.
Right. So while the tech is impressive, the manufacturing and operational costs are important factors to consider.
Definitely. And already, Argonne National Lab and G42 are running supercomputers built on these wafer-scale slabs. With systems like Condor Galaxy 3 due later this year, GPUs might see their match for ultra-large models.
Yep. Now shifting gears a bit. What about these brain-inspired neuromorphic chips? Are they finally ready for prime time?
Ah, yes. Intel made a splash about this in April 2024 by wiring 1,152 Loihi 2 chips into a system called Hala Point, the largest neuromorphic computer on Earth. Intel touted it as being 50 times faster and far more power-frugal for specific tasks.
And that's not all. I heard there's also a Dutch startup making waves in this arena.
Exactly. Innatera just launched Pulsar, the first mass-market neuromorphic microcontroller. They claim it delivers 100 times lower latency and 500 times lower energy usage than a standard microcontroller, especially when it comes to voice or gesture detection.
Yeah. So these chips mimic neuronal voltage spikes, right? That's like imitating how our brain fires, which is really cool.
Right. It's like they fire short voltage spikes similar to biological neurons. This event-driven sensing is, well, crazy efficient. And indeed, for a long time, training them was a nightmare. But with gradient-based training now working on these spiking nets, as noted in Nature Communications, the toolchain gap is finally closing.
That sounds promising, although I'm still a bit skeptical. Training spiking networks can be notoriously tricky, right?
Fair point, but the recent advances suggest a real shift. I'd say the progress in gradient-based methods is a game changer, even if we're not yet at ChatGPT scale training for these neuromorphic systems.
Moving on to another angle, specialized AI processors. SoftBank's 2024 acquisition of Graphcore is making headlines. What do you think that signals about the future?
Well, Graphcore once dazzled us with its IPU. They even raised nearly $800 million. But then revenue stalled and SoftBank swooped in, as Reuters reported on July 11, 2024. SoftBank's move tells us that killer hardware alone isn't enough. You need a monster software ecosystem and deep pockets to really scale.
Right, and Graphcore's Bow IPU, they stacked 2 wafers, wafer on wafer, to crank up the on-chip bandwidth. That's pretty unique, isn't it?
Absolutely. Early MLPerf numbers even showed it outperformed an A100 in some sparse workloads. But without volume sales, those rockets in benchmark numbers don't exactly translate to cash registers ringing.
So essentially, specialized hardware still needs the magic sauce of a robust software and business ecosystem to truly scale.
Exactly, and that brings us right to the world of open-source RISC V accelerators. Tenstorrent's Blackhole is a cool contender here. At their Dev Day on April 4, 2025, they unveiled a card featuring 16 big RISC V cores, 140 matrix engines, and 10 400 gig Ethernet ports.
That's intriguing. So how does Blackhole compare in performance to, say, an Nvidia A100 cluster?
The claim is If you mesh 32 Blackhole cards, you flirt with 24 petaflops of FP8 performance, on paper, outpacing an Nvidia A100 cluster. Also, the appeal is that they offer the compiler and ISA, so no CUDA tax.
Yep, but doesn't that openness come with a catch? I mean, you might have to do more of the plumbing on your own.
Absolutely, and that's the trade-off. Open source means flexibility and cost control, which excites cloud providers. But it also means extra work for developers until Blackhole racks hit public clouds.
Now, another big theme here is geopolitics. Can geopolitical tensions really force innovation towards non-GPU chips?
Yes, when regions can't access Nvidia's H100s due to US export curbs, they swing into building local alternatives, be it domestic GPUs, wafer-scale clones, or even analog photonics. And with supply chain risks and escalating GPU power draws, some new H100 data centers push beyond 20 megawatts. The stage is set for specialized silicon to shine.
That's a huge dynamic shift. Geopolitical pressure nudging companies to innovate alternative chips.
Right, but let's not forget, GPUs aren't idling in the meantime. Nvidia's Blackwell architecture, for example, doubles performance per watt, keeping the race intense. The real contest now is who can integrate hardware, software, and fab capabilities the fastest.
So it really boils down to specialization and integration across the board.
Exactly. Whether it's wafer-scale chips for massive models, neuromorphic chips for ultra-low power edge devices, or IPUs and RISC V accelerators for a niche middle ground, each excels in its own arena.
Right, and it sounds like the common thread is specialization. 10 years ago, we slapped neural nets on any CUDA-ready board. Now every niche, from giant language models to smart earbuds, demands a custom engine.
Precisely. The landscape is evolving rapidly. It's no longer about one size fits all. It's about designing silicon that fits exactly what you need, from labs to edge devices.
Yeah, with so many factors, cost, performance, power, and even politics, it's fascinating to see where these diverse paths will ultimately lead.
Absolutely. And it really highlights how intertwined the realms of chips, software, and global policy have become. The hardware of tomorrow isn't just marching forward in isolation, it's responding to market, regulatory, and even geopolitical pressures.
So for anyone out there, whether you're a researcher, an investor, or just a tech enthusiast, keeping an eye on these developments is key. These 5 questions really hint at the next tectonic shifts in AI compute.
Yep, very true. It's an exhilarating time to watch the interplay between raw silicon power and innovative architectures. I mean, every niche is carving out its own path, and the race is on for whoever can blend hardware smarts with strategic vision.
Well said. Thanks for a deep, lively conversation on these cutting-edge chips and technologies. Let's keep our eyes on the horizon and these chips as they reshape the AI landscape.